Have you ever scored a really sweet deal on something, only to realize later that there was a reason why it was so cheap? This is kind of like that. Hey everyone, Scott from SANspotter.com here, and welcome back to February 13th, 2021. I've just arrived at the all-new Salt Lake City International Airport after a short hop over from Denver, and holy crap, this is like a real airport now, with big windows and high ceilings, completely different than what I remember from my last visit through here way back in 2015. I'm liking this a lot. As a matter of fact, I'm also liking the fact that it smells better than the old terminal ever did, even on a good day. Go ahead, call me weird, but I love the smell of fresh paint mixed with a hint of chicken stir-fry wafting from the food court. Anyway, this right here is my ride home to San Diego this afternoon. It's a 20-year-old 737-800, and I hate to get ahead of myself here, but it's one of a handful of aircraft left in the Delta fleet featuring the old first class. Of course, I didn't know this yet, and I spent all of the time leading up to this flight thinking that I was a total genius for paying just $116 for a typically fantastic domestic first-class seat. And, in typical SANspotter form, I was just mere minutes away from being proved otherwise. I can't remember exactly what I was thinking as I was boarding this aircraft, but I specifically recall words such as genius and brilliant being ones that I was tempted to say out loud. You can imagine my embarrassment when I made the realization that this aircraft hadn't been updated since the Obama administration. Oh well. Honestly, the seats were fine. Better than economy class for sure, but anyone who has sat in a Delta Airlines A321 first class seat recently knows that these seats are not as good as those. Yes, there are power ports at every seat, and the seats themselves are equivalent in size to other, better domestic first-class products. However, the 2008 vibe going on in here is intense. And it really caught me off guard since I had no idea that there were still 737s in the Delta fleet with these seats. It was clean though, mostly, as long as you didn't look too closely, I guess. There's no shame in being too careful, though, and I figured as long as I didn't touch anything, I'd be okay. Except for stuff on the floor. Stuff down there is totally okay to pick up and play with your bare hands. I have no idea who you are, but thank you for doing what you do. I guess seeing stuff like that makes me appreciate sitting where I am more than I did just a few minutes ago. This is pretty sweet, actually, in a 2008 kind of way, of course. Anyway, despite all the snow and rain coming down, we pushed off the gate exactly on time. The pessimist in me thought we'd be delayed for sure, but if there's one thing I've learned from this experience so far, it's that it's best not to think too far ahead. Enjoy the moment. Appreciate what you have. Speaking of which, I'll bet this guy enjoys the heck out of his job. It's not for everybody, but how could de-icing an aircraft not be fun? I don't know. If this travel blogging thing doesn't work out, shooting high-pressure liquid at $100 million aircraft sounds right up my alley. The reality is that travel blogging isn't so bad either. I mean, I get to pretend to complain about flying first class for a living. Poor me, having to endure the hardship of sitting in a seat that doesn't look exactly the way I want it to. Everyone who clicked off this video within the first 30 seconds likely did so because they thought that I'm an elitist with an annoying voice. They may be right about my voice, but the truth is that it's very easy to be a critic, and even though I may seem nitpicky at times, I really enjoy making videos about my travel experiences. Even crusty Delta 737-800 first class experiences in ultra gloomy weather. This is fun, I promise. Dang it. So much for seeing any spectacular winter mountain scenery on the departure from Salt Lake City. Oh well. Good thing that it wasn't a bumpy departure, though. It seems as if I totally forgot to fasten my seatbelt when they told us to do so. I'm such an idiot. Oh, and no, there's nothing to tell you about the video screen other than it looks as frustrating to use as it actually is. Since this flight occurred during the time when all the airlines had limited service due to COVID, the only food we got came in the form of a prepackaged snack bag. And if you've seen any of my recent Delta videos, you already know my feelings about the Goldfish crackers. The good news is that I was an adult this time, at least enough to avoid grinding any of those little buggers into the carpet. You'd probably think that flying over the Mountain West at the height of winter would result in some spectacular scenery of the ground below. You'd be wrong, at least today anyway. Good news though, we are pointed directly at Southern California, and I promise you'll see a break in the clouds soon. See? Told you so. In terms of my overall feelings about the old Delta Airlines first class product up until this point, retro is the best word that I can think of to describe it. Which is fine. When paying so little to sit in a seat like this, there's only so many negative things I can say before I start coming off as hoity-toity. I know. For just $116, I couldn't have asked for a better experience. I got far more than I paid for, and if you can find a similar deal, or anything below $200, I'd recommend that you jump all over it. I mean, sit all over it, or something like that. With that being said, welcome to San Diego. It's sunny and nice here, as usual, and it was the perfect end to a long day of flying. As we taxi to the gate, I'd like to think that this aircraft will be getting a new interior soon. Of course, if it does, that means that I just spent all of this time and effort to review a seat that won't be around for very much longer. The video will die immediately on YouTube, my career as an airline reviewer will crumble, and I'll be forced to get a real job. Actually, that might not be so bad since that de-icing thing looked pretty sweet. Thanks for watching all the way through to the end, and more importantly, huge thanks to the SANspotter patrons for supporting me and what I do. Neil from the Moment in the Sky YouTube channel, Simon from the SD AV Geek YouTube channel, Aaron Slater, Naomi Slivko, and everyone else, thank you. By the way, props to everyone who is still watching. Do you realize that you just spent the last 9 minutes of your life watching a video about the old Delta Airlines first class product? That is some serious dedication right there. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.